This is TNC Movie Nights. I am Brandon, and this is Alex. We're talking a little bit more COVID and movies this week, kind of a continuation of last week, kind of a little bit more of the technicalities, some true things that we're kind of seeing developing in the movie industry, and just kind of the when can we go back to the movies. And then after that, we'll kind of talk into some of the movies we're excited to see, some of them we're kind of sad that were pushed back and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely excited for that. And of course, we did have a lot of you commenting on our little Twitter and Facebook posts for the movies you guys are really excited about too. So I'm sure we'll talk about a couple of those, but I'm going to go ahead and send it on over to Alex to, kind of just get into what we're up to today.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got the idea for this because, like Brandon said, we're going to sort of roll through from last week, but also I got an email this week from AMC, once again, not a sponsor. But basically, they are opening up some of the theaters. Officially, we have dates now. If you're international, they've already opened for you because your country knows how to listen. But for us, we're stuck here. So August 26th, it looks like, they're going to start opening some stuff up all the way in those overseas places. Here, August 20th, they're going to start operations again, sort of limited. And then they say by September 3rd, they'll have about 2/3 of the AMCs open. So we were talking about it last week, but now we have an official start to what's going to be movie life. Maybe not post-COVID, but how we're going to roll back into that. And so our first thought was, well, what the heck are we going to see? And so I took a look at some of these movies that are coming out. We have a whole lot of them that look really good. I got a list in front of me here. Start with the first one that's coming out, Unhinged, coming out August 21st with Russell Crowe. Is this something you're excited about, Brandon?
I'll be very honest. I didn't know anything about this movie pre you bring it up before we kind of talked about the show, and I watched the trailer for it, and it's honestly very intense. The concept of it is very interesting. I guess the thing I'm having an issue with is like wrapping my head around is how is this guy going to kind of like keep getting away with everything throughout this movie without like, I mean, I get it, the universe and stuff, if they're going to kind of keep law enforcement completely out of it if they can. And I see like little things in the trailer where the little kid in the back of the car is like trying to get the attention of the police officer. But I mean, you're in traffic, and the car is getting hit and stuff, and then the gas station, the dude gets run over. And so I'm just kind of curious where they'll kind of play it off, what'll be kind of their explanation for things, or if they're going to kind of just toss it aside. But it does look like the intensity of the movie, just in the trailer, really kind of pulled me in there. And I was surprised because, as I've said, I'm a little bit more into a little bit of humor, a little more superhero-esque movies at times, and this is going to be, I mean, it'll probably be one of our first movies seeing, so it's going to be kind of fun to kind of start with something completely different for myself. How about you, though?
This one, it's interesting because it feels like it's something that could happen. Like, this is what that's what gets under your skin. Like, oh my God, anybody in traffic, you could just flip off the wrong person, they follow you to your house. That's sort of like the fear in the back of your head when you're driving and someone does something crazy. And this is something that I think is just maybe not starting to become a thing, but it's becoming popular in that, like, feeding into that voice in the back of your head, or just being very real, even if they take it to a surreal place like what The Invisible Man did, where it's a sci-fi movie about a guy who makes an invisible suit, but ultimately it's the story of the power that an abuser has over the people that they abuse and how scary and how real that can feel. And so it's like, technically maybe that can't happen, but that story is something that so many people share. And so that's where that real fear comes from, where it's like, holy crap, the power there is insane. And so I feel like that's something that this movie can also kind of have that similar feel to, of like, this can just happen. So it's not even like the spooky guy breaking into the house. We've seen this story 1,000 times. Like, holy crap, this just happens, and who knows if it's going to happen to you. So I'm excited to see how this one turns out. So that's definitely something. Shortly after that, a week later, we finally we'll have the New Mutants come out. Now, I know you have a couple opinions on this one, so I'll kick this one completely to you.
Yeah, as I just mentioned, I'm really into the superhero genre, and I've been very excited for this movie for a very long time. How long, you ask? Since 2015, when the movie started development. So it's been quite some time now, and it is terrifying when a movie is in developmental hell for so long. The original release date was back in April of 2018, and it's just shocking that we're having to wait 2.5 years at this point to finally get this movie. I love the idea of it. It's kind of a little bit more, I want to say horror in a sense. Like there's a little more suspense to it for a superhero genre movie. And the thing I got really excited about is because Deadpool, one of my favorite characters, started in the New Mutant comics. And I was like, this is going to be really interesting. Maybe they'll kind of tie in things there. Maybe we'll see Deadpool even have an appearance. For kind of what we've gotten from the trailers and stuff, I can definitely sense that that's not something that would happen. His character completely would just clash with the style and the theme of the movie. So I really want to see it. However, I'm not very excited for it because how great can a movie be if it keeps getting stuck in production like this? It's awesome if they're fixing things, but I feel like at some point they're just like throwing up their hands like, you know what? We just got to release it. We've lost too much money. We're going to have to just try to, maybe just lose 20 million or 30 million instead of, going back into production. People aren't as excited about this movie as they were 2 years ago when it was first supposed to come out. I remember the hype that was around this movie. Everyone that I knew that liked superheroes was talking about this movie. So now I don't even know if they know it's coming out in a couple weeks. So I hope it blows up and I hope it's great. Maybe this will kind of be maybe a little jump start for the what was Fox's universe of X-Men. Maybe it'll kind of keep some sort of tie to it, or this is going to be just the cut of it. Be like, okay, yep, this is why Marvel bought them. They're done. So yeah, definitely interested though.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how much weight is put on that movie. Because like you said, this is sort of like a make or break sort of thing for them, especially coming out of people are finally getting back into the movies. And who knows what's going to happen? I mean, people could rush into the theaters and New Mutants, August 28th, could sell out completely. No one seems to be too worried, that sort of thing. And then, holy crap, it's a great movie, sells out again. Everyone loves it. Oh my God, movies are back, baby. Let's do this. Or people could be like, you know what? I'm going to sit out this first wave. I'm going to see what happens. I don't know what this is going to look like. I don't want to be caught in the crossfire of another breakout or anything like that. And maybe the movie sucks. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? This could sort of make or break that wave of introduction of movies. If this falls flat and people don't go to see it, could be a slow burn before we're back into the movies. But if this, or even just a couple of these, can have some hype to them, I don't know, man. A lot. We're going to learn a lot in that first month to 6 week range. Speaking of the first month to 6 week range. Right after that, we have September 3rd, Tenet coming out, the new Nolan flick. I've said it before when we were talking about The Dark Knight. I'm a Nolan fan. Almost to the point where I didn't want to be, because I didn't want to just, it's Nolan. Okay, I didn't want to base his whole movie career on The Dark Knight, because everyone, even the bad directors get lucky sometimes, but man, I just keep watching his stuff and it's really freaking good. So this one's definitely going to be interesting. How are you feeling about it?
The thing I'm honestly most excited for isn't even the fact that it's Christopher Nolan. I do love his movies. He does a very great job. It's more to kind of see Robert Pattinson in a slightly different light that we're kind of used to. Yeah. Because, he's supposed to be Bruce Wayne in a couple years when the Batman movie does come out. And I think this will kind of set the tone. Can he be that, I don't want to say mysterious, but kind of the more proper and strong-powered character? I mean, again, he did, for what the movies were, he did a really good job in the Twilight movies. I'm not a fan myself, but I mean, I can appreciate it. He did a great job helping carry a franchise of movies. And I'm excited to see what he can do in a much more serious probably the closest we're ever going to see him to a Bruce Wayne outside of Bruce Wayne. So that's what I'm really going to be keeping my eye on with this movie. And honestly, I love that it's always Christopher Nolan though with these kind of odd ideas for movies. I mean, like this reminds me so much of Inception because it just has to do with kind of the time aspect and playing with time, making you question and think things all the time. And I would love to see him kind of end the movie with some sort of big question mark like he did with Inception. I think it'd be very fun to see.
Mm-hmm. He's throwing some Memento vibes in there too with things running backwards, and you're just like, okay, this is full blown Nolan. And yeah, with Robert Pattinson there, he has had himself a fairly quiet but really solid career post Twilight. He's shown that he wasn't just some teenage heartthrob who did a thing for a series and then kind of bounced. I mean, if you've ever seen any interview with him, he hated that thing. So I feel like he's distanced himself well, and it's nice to see him in big pictures. I put the Lighthouse on my watch list. I still haven't seen it yet, but I'm really excited. It's him and Willem Dafoe in there. So maybe I'll have to do a back-to-back Robert Pattinson viewing. One day after Tenet comes out, Mulan will be released to Disney Plus only. Now, this one is very interesting because I know that a lot of the movie theaters were not happy with this. I mean, it's a Disney movie. It's a ticket to cash money for theaters, and so they were upset when it went to Disney Plus. But I know that the people who were itching to see this, myself included, not a fan. I mean, they're just sort of killing everything that was like these remakes. They're remaking these movies. It gives the people who are sort of not just us, but it seems like they're tailoring their remakes to the movies that came out when we were kids. So if you're in your 20s to 30s, you know, it's like, oh my God, I remember seeing that when I was little because that was the new thing, and now they're doing this thing. But they're just like, oh yeah, by the way, none of the story is going to be the same. No songs, no Mushu, no, like, everything is different. It's essentially a completely different movie just with someone named Mulan.
I have never been so excited for a Disney live action remake before. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. Growing up, I appreciated Disney movies. It's not really my thing. I don't know what it is.
Such a thing.
Never cared for like singing in movies a whole lot. There are some movies that it's awesome, like the Queen movie, of course. Bohemian Rhapsody, like you're going to have singing in it. I thought it was fine. Thought it was cool. Haven't seen Rocket Man yet. Really want to.
Solid flick.
Yeah. I've heard it is a lot of fun. And I don't know. It was something as funny as it is, as I like kind of goofy, funny things in movies. I just couldn't get into the like OG Disney movies a whole lot. Some of them are great. Like I love Fox and the Hound. And there are some other ones out there that are a lot of fun. But I watched this trailer and I genuinely was so excited for this movie. I'm like, all right, so it's going to kind of just take the character and give just a kind of new idea of it. I mean, going on the same premise of like, you know, a female warrior that has to hide her identity, and then that's kind of what we get. Like that's the only Mulan part outside of, you know, similar names. But I have been so excited for this movie. Now, to kind of go into it, though, I'm curious on your idea of this. What do you think of the $29.99 price point that is going to be on Disney Plus for it?
Ridiculous. I think that's understandable, but ridiculous. It's like, it goes down to what we were talking about last time. We understand why people are charging 20, 30 movies to rent a movie, not even purchase it on these streaming platforms. It makes sense. There's not going to be a lot of situations where it's one or two people watching it. I guess there will be, but there's going to be a lot where it's like, oh, let's watch this movie. I rented this. Let's watch it. So it makes sense that they have to charge $30 because if you average it out across the board, it's going to be cheaper than a movie ticket. I'm not paying $30 to watch this movie. I wouldn't pay $30 to watch any movie, I don't think. And that's not to say it's going to be a bad movie. I hope it does well. I hope it's great. When it's free on Disney Plus, I'll totally give it a shot. And I'll go in there without any prejudice, like I'm going to hate this movie because it's not the same thing. It could still be a movie. I just don't think it's going to be very comparable to the animated one. It'll be like the people who can accept that a movie based on a book is good, although it's not necessarily true to the source material. And that's what this could totally be. It could be an awesome flick that's just different than the animated one, and that's fine. But I know that's not what a lot of people were excited about, because a lot of people were in that groove of like when Lion King came out. Oh my God, live action! Even though it was like all CGI, but live action, and all of these, even the classics when they were first making some of the classic Disney movies, they tried to keep somewhat close to the main source material there, because that's what people wanted to see, because that's what bought it the ticket the first time. So go in there neutral, sort of. And let's see the
real
next.
Quick, actually, does
sorry,
this
no, go ahead.
change
Yeah.
your idea and thoughts to it all about the price point? This is from GamesRadar.com. The quote from them is, "After doing some digging, we found out the deal was actually better value than anticipated. Specifically, the Mulan Disney Plus offer allows you to watch the movie as often as you like for as long as you like. As long as you have a Disney Plus account, you now own the movie."
Okay, so you're not necessarily renting it for like a 2-day sort of thing.
Yes.
Basically, like you can buy it to add it to your Disney Plus.
Yes, exactly. So I think that is a lot
That's
better.
not bad.
Honestly.
That's not bad.
Because the movie's $20, like either way, like for a Blu-ray when it first comes out, pretty much. And especially like all these all these rentals right now are $20 minimum, and you get them for 2 days. You have to watch them one time within a time frame. You start the movie, you have like 12 hours to finish it or something like that. So it's a little bit better than I thought it was. I did think it was going to be a rental sort of deal.
Totally.
I probably I don't know. I might buy it when it first comes out. And I mean, again, like they charge you because people are going to do this. You and I'm sure can figure out a way to watch it together, so we can at least do a little review on it. So it won't be too bad there. But yeah, I'm ready to move on to the next one.
Yeah, totally. So after that, we have September 18th. The King's Man is coming out. The prequel in the Kingsman universe. Now this one's going to be interesting because I was a fan of the Kingsman movies. I think I even watched one of them with you. It might have been like us and Simon or something like that.
I believe so.
They're just fun movies, man. They're classics in that sort of secret spy James Bond-esque type thing, but they're totally original in the way that they sort of flip that on its head, and it's not just the classic, tuxedo tied up. I'm a spy. It's like, yeah, I got the tux on, but you know what? I'm still Eggsy. So This one's going to be interesting to see, because there is no Eggsy in this one, because it takes place before. This is like the establishment of the Kingsman group. So this will be something that I'm definitely interested in.
This has definitely been one of my most loved like extended universe kind of things that isn't Marvel, DC, where it is like, there's multiple movies. Now they're kind of doing like a preview to what was before the Kingsman 1 and 2 for Secret Service and Golden Circle. And they're just very fun, because I've always had a hard time getting into spy movies, because they're very dry. They're James Bond is, like you said, very formal, like I'm in a suit, I'm a man, I'm a great like agent, and like, there's not a whole lot of personality to the characters. And it's like, he's just this like cool like 20-year-old-ish kid, and you're like, yeah, like I could do that. And you're like, it's like he was nothing like special outside of least a little bit of a burglar kind of thing. And it was just so much fun to see a witty, clever, just kid just take over a Secret Service agency pretty much. So I'm really curious on how this movie's going to go.
Definitely.
Because one of the big things about the first two, as I mentioned, like there's that humor aspect. There's the like, whoa, this is crazy. And this movie seems a lot more serious for kind of what I've seen in the trailers. Taking out Eggsy especially, you lose a very big comedic relief in the film. So it's gonna be interesting. This is definitely be one of those movies. Day one, I will want to go see no matter what's going on.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. This seems, at least from the trailer, to be a more serious production, an origin story type thing. But it's still Marv, man. I mean, it still comes from the guy that brought you Kick-Ass and the original Kingsman, and so I feel like that style will still be there. That sort of over the top, not quite Tarantino-esque gore, but just like solid fight scenes, and I love how he films them. It's not the classic like jump cut, bang, jump cut, bang. It's like that church scene. Holy crap. Super fun to watch, but also like incredibly impressive that they put it all together to film. Whether you're using CGI or not, having continuous long shots like that, having the degree of coverage that he was able to do without making it look clunky. Everything was so fluid, and it took so long that you were there for all of it. It wasn't just like bright light, flash, cut, 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 cut. It was like, holy crap, I can watch this whole thing. So I'm super stoked to see this one. Also, super stoked to see the next one, October 2nd, Wonder Woman 80. This one might be the one. If these aren't all of the movies that come out, of course. There will be others. They're going to have classics that they're going to play in the theaters just to get butts in seats. These are just sort of the heavy hitters of the first couple months that are coming out. So apologies if we excused your favorite that you're excited to see or the classic that you're excited to see.
I'm mad we're not talking Bill and Ted.
Dude, super stoked.
Me too.
Bill and Ted is awesome. I love Bill and Ted. But for Wonder Woman, this was, and I've made this point very clear before, whether it's on the show or with the film review that we did, or the film review on the TNC site. This is pretty much the only current like DCEU sort of thing that they have outside of Shazam, which had a little bit of a different feel to it. It wasn't trying to take itself too seriously. Ant-Man. Yeah, exactly. Wonder Woman was the only like heavy hitter that I actually liked of the current DC movies. All of the rest were so disappointing to me. So I'm super stoked to see this. Plus, admittedly, I will almost definitely be one of those people who waits out the first wave. And so I feel like October 2nd is almost like the perfect day to go back. It's like, okay, it's been more than a month. Or if your theater opened up September 3rd, it's been a month. It's been long enough for you to kind of gauge it out from a distance and take safety first. So that's sort of the date that you can circle, be like, this is the day I get to not only go see movies again, but I get to see a badass movie like Wonder Woman 84.
DC did a very good job about how they did their character. One of my big issues always with DC compared to Marvel is the characters kind of lack personality. Superman, for example, he's just kind of the star-spangled boy, and he's
a Boy Scout.
Yeah, he's a Boy Scout, always follows rules. He's a lot like Captain America for the normal side of it. But, Marvel did kind of take Captain America and made him funny because that's just what Marvel does. And Superman is a very bland character, which is fine. It's not a bad thing. But the problem that I always had was, they're heavy hitters. They're top three where, you can go to Marvel and you could probably say, over the last few years, it's probably been Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America. And they've done a good job at least making some of them with a little bit of humor to them, especially Iron Man for the most part. All three of DC's, Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman, were very calm, cool, collected. I show you how strong I am with my abilities, not my words. They did such a good job, though, of giving her such great personality, though. I've never been able to find a DC character that I just loved when they were on screen outside of the costume. She's just so much fun to watch. The way she just kind of talks to everyone, it's just great. It's like she just kind of has a little bit of cockiness to her because, where she comes from, but it's like the arrogance is great. And I love everything that Gal Gadot has done with the character so far, and this movie is going to be fantastic. And this is probably maybe the only movie of the COVID pushbacks that we're going to get like this year that I would bet money on that it's gonna be great. Like, it's gonna be 90% ish for Rotten Tomatoes kind of level, that it's just they just can't do anything wrong with the character, I feel, at this point.
I just double checked because I wanted to be sure, and Patty Jenkins is directing this as well. She was the director of the first one, and most importantly, she's not Zack Snyder, because it turns out if you let a badass lady direct movies about a badass lady, you get a badass movie. If you have Zack Snyder try to direct your stuff, hit and miss. I'll be very polite when I say hit and miss. So very excited to see them not sort of screw with that formula. It's like it worked. Let her take the reins and run with it. Let's see what can happen, and I'm stoked. Not too long after that, actually a little long after that, the next big release will be November 6th. Black Widow. Speaking of badass ladies, super stoked about that one too. I'll let you kick this one off though, because I know you're the superhero boy.
This is the kind of opposite side for me. I mean, Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson has done an incredible job. They've kept such a uninteresting character at times. They've kept her so interesting. She's, I mean, how exciting can you make a character that just knows martial arts and great gun tactics with all these people with real superpowers in the movies? But they've done it. And Scarlett Johansson has done a fantastic job with this character, keeping it like not just like a sex appeal character. And that's what I've loved about it so far with her, is that no matter when she's on screen, you're just like, she's just such a badass. Like, you don't care like what she's doing, and that's the big thing, like what she's wearing and stuff. They have never tried to appeal anything with her outside maybe the first like leather suit kind of thing. But there's times she's just like in a baseball cap and jeans, and you're like, damn, dude, she can kick anyone's ass in whatever like she's doing, and I just love it. So all of that isn't even what I'm most excited about. One of my favorite villains outside of my dude Mysterio has always been the Taskmaster. And the reason I'm so excited is because there's so much they can do with him, and especially against someone who is extremely martial arts trained, hand-to-hand combat. He has the ability, his power is the ability to mimic any fighting style. Whether it's Spider-Man with his even webs, like he can create webs with like tech kind of stuff, and just like he'll shoot webs next time he fights Spider-Man, and he'll have like a web bomb. And Daredevil, maybe he'll bring like a staff or like some sort of like little weapons that I can't think of the proper term for Daredevil's weapons, but I'm sure we'll see some really cool like flip kick up things that Black Widow will do at some point, and he'll match it or something. So there's endless possibilities what they can do with the character, and visually he's just so cool. He's got a little skeleton face and a shield, and it's gonna be cool. I'm really excited for that, and that's where I'm just so pumped for this movie. The dynamic between the two characters will be extremely interesting.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you exactly what I am the most excited for that entire movie. It involves two words. They are David and Harbour. I love that man. He is fantastic. I cannot wait to see him. Some of his recent things past Stranger Things, whether you like him or not, that's up to you. I'm not going to dig into those, but he is just such a cool dude. I hope that doesn't change. I would hate to read a story of him just being a total dick in an airport or something like that. Because right now he's just super cool. Love him in Stranger Things. Love him just across the board. So super excited to see him interact with that whole cast and see how that's going to go. After Black Widow.
Sorry, I have one more thing about Black Widow.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and I just want to pull up the IMDb so I should get her name as close to right as I can. Because I
think I have it pulled up right here.
Feel like they might pass a baton in the movie. I know this is going to be prior to everything happening, but maybe there'll be kind of like a little thing at the end of it. It's Florence Pugh.
Oh my God! Thank you for bringing her up, because she is fantastic. She has been amazing in everything I've seen her in. She stole the show in Little Women, which is already an amazing movie with an amazing cast that everyone, like, I can't say enough good things about the movie. It was super good, and everyone just sort of took their turn in it without stepping on each other, and she was a freak in that movie. She was awesome, and so I'm super pumped to see her in this too.
I totally agree. Honestly, I didn't care for the movie that much, but she was great in Midsummer. I think that's probably how you pronounce it, I hope. Okay. So, yeah, she was great as Danny in that movie. And my big thing is, like, there's a lot of talk that she's going to become Black Widow. And I'd be super into that.
That'd be cool, man.
Yeah. So they might pass the baton to her. Maybe it'll be some sort of, like, big thing at the end, like, if I ever pass away or something, like, I want you to take the mantle of Black Widow. Like, I'm just getting chills thinking about it. So I would love to see her step into the role, or maybe like an end credit scene or something, because Marvel and their end credit scenes, it's Nick Fury recruiting her as Black Widow now. So
that would be awesome, because
cool.
it was kind of weird when this movie was announced, because you're like, oh cool, Black Widow, and then you saw Endgame and you're like, how's that gonna work?
Yeah.
How does this fit into the fold of the MCU? What story are they gonna tell? And then you're like, okay, I see how they're working it now, but what does this mean for after the movie? Or is it just straight up go watch a movie with Black Widow and it has nothing to do with the current phase? So that would be awesome if that's how they sort of integrate it into the new phase. Oh man, that would be super cool. Kind of geeking out already.
Yeah, no.
November 6th, man. November 6th.
Yep.
Another movie coming out in November. Two of them actually on November 20th. The first one is Soul, the new Pixar movie with Jamie Foxx. Huge Pixar fan, so I will definitely be seeing this one. Also interesting because Pixar has never had a problem sort of like touching on the concept of death. Because if you've ever seen a Pixar movie, I think there's been like two, maybe one outside of The Incredibles, where both parents are introduced in the movie and both of them make it to the end. Mm-hmm. So that's nothing new. But it's going to be very interesting to see a whole movie about that and to see what sort of direction they go, what kind of message they're going to send. So kind of stoked for that one, honestly. How about you? Because I know you're not a super big like animated guy, but I mean, you just mentioned with the musicals, Pixar's not really super musical, so how are you feeling about this one?
I have always kind of more swayed on the Pixar side when it comes to those movies, growing up at least. So it's going to be very interesting to kind of see them go in such a deep topic, as you did mention. I want to say this movie is Pixar. Maybe it's not. I can go ahead and check right now. Yes, Inside Out.
Talking Pixar.
That one. Another movie that's like, it's more than just a cutesy, fun movie for kids to laugh at and enjoy. I mean, there are some funny moments in the movie, but it's about, depression and a lot more than what kids are probably normally used to seeing. So this is kind of another big step up from that. Again, this is another movie I didn't really know anything about until right before the episode when I watched the trailer for it. And I like Jamie Foxx. I do. Again, I mean, if you guys want to hear us talk about Jamie Foxx, you guys will see on our upcoming review show for Project Powers. I really do like him a lot. I think he'll do great in the movie, and I'm kind of excited to see where they go with it. I mean, how deep and kind of maybe dark are they going to go on this? For, again, kids, it'll be kind of I'm curious if the ending is going to be more like death is scary, or if it's going to be more, I mean, I would be surprised, or if it's going to be more on the side of live your life to the fullest, enjoy them the most you can, love your family, your friends, and just don't waste any time. Like, I think that's going to be more the direction they ended in, rather than like, death's a thing. So,
yeah. I would imagine you're probably going to be right, and it's probably the latter there. But yeah, Pixar, man, they're not afraid to hit you, like you said with Inside Out. I mean, that's just a straight up movie about a kid going through depression. And so it's one of those things where like, this is a real thing. Like, it'll make the kids laugh, it'll make the teens think, and it'll make the parents cry. Like, that's the sort of thing they've been going for recently with Onward.
Yeah.
Great movie. I really like it. The ending there, I appreciate how they stuck with it. Like, they set the table up for it to be this specific thing, and they didn't give you just a happy ending for the sake of a happy ending. They gave you a real ending, and so it kind of pulls at your heartstrings there, but that's just what they do. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see just how far down that sort of well that they take it. But I mentioned two movies coming out November 20th. The other one is No Time to Die, the most recent James Bond installation here. Daniel Craig coming back, reprising his role as 007 here. Somewhat surprisingly, because I know there was a while where he was done and they were talking about think it was Idris Elba was going to be the next James Bond, and then that sort of fell away, and now it's going to be someone else, and then it ended up just being him all along. So, I don't know. Are you a James Bond guy? I know you mentioned not a huge spy guy when we were talking about the Kingsman, but
Yeah, this is kind of what I was talking about. It was always difficult for me to get into James Bond movies. I probably have seen like 4 of them. I'll be honest, I can't tell you anything about them. They never stuck with me. I did have some friends that
makes
were
sense.
super into them, and I really wanted to kind of like stay with it, and kind of understand what they were into. Like I'm pretty sure I saw Skyfall, Quantum of Solace, Casino Royale, and Die Another. I think it's Die Another Day. Yeah, Die Another Day. I'm pretty sure I saw all of those, and I couldn't tell you anything about them. I just wasn't into them. Couldn't do it. Never saw Spectre. I heard that one was actually a lot of fun, but I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna see it. Like, I'm just gonna have to. I mean, it's kind of the end of the era for Daniel Craig.
right.
And for what I'm seeing, that's what I was curious about when he brought up for Idris Elba about James Bond. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be after Daniel Craig, but I don't know if he is still on the whole thing for it. It looks like he is though. But
That's interesting because I think I could be totally wrong here, but based on what I remember, I think after Skyfall, Daniel Craig was originally going to back out. And then that's when the rumors of Idris Elba were going to come in. And then he did Spectre, and everyone was like, oh, okay, he's doing it again. And now again with No Time to Die. So it's, who knows? And at this point, not just the Daniel Craig James Bonds, but the whole lineage of the James Bond films, they have been so many different things. They've gone from like hardcore action flicks that are serious through and through to full-blown campy spy films.
Yeah.
And I mean, Pierce Brosnan, love him. He was the James Bond that I kind of grew up with, especially in like the video game world, from the N64 with GoldenEye through like the PS2, even into the newer games. He was the face of James Bond, so it was like all forms of media. But some of his movies were trash, man. They were just not good, or at least parts of them were awful. When he's like surfing the water around the ice, it was just dumb. But Daniel Craig's have been sort of on that more serious side, and they've been pretty good so far. And one thing that I really appreciate with them is they have awesome villains. Awesome villains. And in this one, you have Rami Malek and Christoph Waltz in it. So I'm open, man. I don't think you can do wrong with those two guys. They are beasts in the world. And so watching them on the screen together, and it looks like they're both going to be sort of like villain type characters. It's going to be really, really fun to see. I think that's all I have
I'm
here
really
up
excited
to
for
November.
Rami Malek. And the weird thing is for me, I've been following him since the first time I can ever remember him being anything, and it was actually in a video game. He was a villain in a video game called Until Dawn. It was like a choose your story game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he was so good in that. And then, of course, when he was he was in a show I think called like, Robot, and then he was Bohemian Rhapsody. Like, the dude can't do wrong. He is really good, and I'm excited to kind of see him back in that villain role again. It was a video game when I saw him in it, but I think he'll do a great job.
You're missing one. You're missing one. You hit Bohemian Rhapsody. Dude was also Night at the Museum. Come on, man. Moon Ra. How you gonna miss Rami Malek in Night at the Museum? That's what he's known for. I'm kidding, obviously. He was in it, but like, it's not what he's known for. But
goodness, he was.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. At the end, he's finally out. He's been screaming the whole time. Not a bad dude. Just Rami Malek trying to help people out.
That's funny.
Mr. Save the Day.
It's been so long. I've probably been seeing the movie since like 2008, 2010. And wow.
I think I watched it like 2 months ago.
I want to go back and watch it.
That was one of the 100 movies I added on the Vudu list during the whole
That's funny.
lockdown. It was on special. I couldn't pass it up. But anyway, not to
Yeah.
diverge too much. But yeah, Rami Malek is amazing. Christoph Waltz, that man can do no wrong in the acting world. He has been amazing in everything. He's the sole reason why I like a couple Tarantino films, to be totally honest. He's just he's just great. I don't have anything bad to say about him. But like I was saying, that is the end of the list of movies through the end of November. Obviously, things can change if something gets greenlit. Maybe we catch some Christmas releases if things are going well. I know that's a huge movie time. You know more than I do. You were in the industry. um, so that'll be interesting to see what comes out around Christmas. Also, I mean, trying to be optimistic here, but thinking in reality for a minute, there's a chance that this doesn't work, that things get delayed again. They could open this up, and by the end of September, there's huge outbreaks because no one's listening. I mean, kind of par for the course right now. So who knows? They might have to shut them back down by the end of September anyway, and then we're doing another show about, oh man, I can't wait for them to open again. So it's going to be interesting.
So I know we were talking about it before too, with what movie we're gonna be most excited about. Before we kind of get into these movies, though, can you give me a movie that we didn't talk about today? I'll give you a little time if you need to go and kind of search one that was pushed back that might be coming out, later next year, summer or something like that, or even is pushed back because another movie was pushed back. If you want to go ahead and think about it real quick, I can go ahead and bring mine up if you need a couple seconds.
Well, honestly, the first one that comes to mind, I don't have a list of all the movies that got pushed back in front of me other than what we have here, but I've been super stoked about Wonder Woman. Like I said before, it's one of the DC shining stars, so super pumped about that. I was upset when it got pushed back, but obviously understandable. So having that, I think that will all sort of be a welcome back to the theaters. Because like I said, I'm probably going to wait until it comes out for that to be like the first movie I see. Wait until October 2nd to go back to the theaters. So not only is that going to be a movie that I've wanted to see, but it's going to be my excuse to go back to the theaters. So sort of double whammy there. So I'm just stoked about that. How about you, man?
That's totally fair. For the movies that we did talk about, mine is definitely going to be Black Widow, just to kind of see again where they go with it, and if they do finally give us something about who might be new Black Widow. And I mean, again, just talking about it earlier, it gave me chills. Like, I genuinely, I was getting so excited about it, just getting a little too nerdy with it. So it was definitely a lot of fun. And that's gonna be the one movie that no matter what's going on, probably in the world, I might have to be like, okay, I'm going to go in a little bitty bubble, and I'm going to go see this movie. So I am very excited for that. And for a movie that we didn't talk about today, I was gonna say something like Venom, There Will Be Carnage, but honestly, for me, it's Free Guy. Free Guy is my movie.
Yeah!
I'm so
That is going to be so cool.
It's supposed to come out December 11th. I love Ryan Reynolds. I love the concept of the movie. If you haven't seen the idea for it yet, it's an NPC character in a video game who finally figures out he's in a video game and kind of just takes over the video game. So I'm super pumped for it. It looks great. And as we kind of talked about, let us know any movies that you guys are really excited for that maybe we didn't touch on today, or you can pile on with a movie we did talk about. I know we did see a lot of different things that people were posting. I know someone on one of my comments posted the new Ghostbusters movie. Some people were saying movies like Mulan. That we did, of course, talk about Wonder Woman and then the new James Bond movie. But yeah, go ahead and let us know either in the comments of this the YouTube video or just add us on Twitter. Something like that is always fine as well. But Alex, if I'm going to wrap up the show for us today.
Sure. Yes, sir. Well, first and foremost, you may have noticed it, but Brandon and I are rocking some new merch here. We've been talking about it nonstop, it seems, every episode. But it's here! TNC Movie Nights. We got the logos. We got a banner, I think, still online. Go check out spreadshirt.com/TNC, the Nerd Chambers. Go get some stuff, man. Get some TNC stuff. Get some Movie Nights stuff. It's awesome. And I don't want to plug our own stuff, but I'm going to plug our own stuff. It's super soft, too. I'm a stickler. I am a stickler for soft t-shirts, comfy clothes. If it ain't comfy, I'm not wearing it. That's like, check that first box. If it's not there, throw it away or don't even buy it. I don't want it. These are so soft. I love these shirts. I love the hoodies, the shirts. I always get the premium one because I'm a sucker for the softies, like I said. And man, it just I mean, that's our
They're
faces
just so
on the shirt.
freaking cute. Yeah, so definitely if you want to get some
Yeah,
merch,
so
go check out spreadshirt.com/thenerdchambers.
definitely. And as Brandon said, chat with us. We love having conversations, even just a comment what movie you're excited to see. Hit us up, all the socials, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of that. Check us out everywhere where you can find a podcast. If you're listening to us, if you're watching us, YouTube, we also share them on Facebook as well. Basically, if you're looking for us, you can find us anywhere. That's pretty much it. That's all I have. Anything else you want to say to the people before we sign off, Brando?
No, that'd be it. It's a fun
All
episode.
right,
Thank
well.
you guys for watching.
I'm Alex. He's Brandon. Adios.